Hello and welcome to the next episode of vSphere Breakroom Chats. I'm your host, Glenn Simon, Product Marketing Manager for vSphere. In this series, we bring VMware experts to talk about VMware's vSphere and related technologies. Today's episode, we're talking about the new version of vCenter Converter. Our experts today are Tudor and Mani, both from the vSphere product teams. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Hello, Glenn.
So tell me, first of all, and I'm sure everyone watching this probably knows the answer to this question, but what is vCenter Converter?
So the vCenter Converter is a popular and long-time serving VMware product, allowing customers to transform physical servers into virtual machines and migrate workloads running on third-party hypervisors into VMs running on ESXi. Most notably, the converter supports the transition from Microsoft Hyper-V to VMs that can be managed by the vCenter.
Okay. Now, it got a lot of news when we removed the vCenter Converter, the previous version, from our download site last year, but we'd actually discontinued support for it prior to that, correct?
Absolutely. So vCenter Converter version 6.2, the legacy one, has been released back in May 2018, and its support has ended in December 2019. So although not officially supported, the converter remained available for download from VMware product site, and over the course of the next 2 years, it remained quite popular. So based on our telemetry data, the product has been used for more than 200K conversions per year. However, its technical stack got obsolete, and without dedicated support, the converter became prone to security and stability vulnerabilities. So basically, in the best interest of our customer base, we decided to pull it off from the product download site, as we cannot afford to offer software that is not up to the quality standards implied by VMware. At the same time, considering the popularity of the product, we initiated a process to gather a dedicated team capable to address the technical debt and make the vCenter Converter available for our customers once again. This time, we are providing full support for the product and make sure it is fully compliant with all modern security standards. So the team did a tremendous effort and managed to provide a new release in less than 6 months since it was assembled. So the new version 6.3 was officially released in October 2022. Mani can give a little bit more detail about the work that was achieved during this period of time.
Yeah, thanks, Tudor. So once we wanted to address and release a new working version of vCenter Converter, so initially the aim was to address the security vulnerability. So once we plan to address that, so then we wanted to keep a version in the VMware download site which is the software which is up to the latest security standards followed by the VMware. So that means we need to update a whole lot of security libraries which were used in vCenter Converter. So that has been taken care. But then looking from the customer's point of view, we don't want to look at addressing only the security issues and give them something, nothing to this thing work out for the foregoing future. So since there are quite a number of years from the previous release, so what we have done was we have looked at some of the workload OS, what customers are majorly using, and we have this thing provided support for them and added that support in the last version of Converter, which got released in October.
When did we release the new version of vCenter Converter?
I think it was October 10th, 2022.
Okay, so it was right around when we released vSphere 8. And so were there, now since this was, as you mentioned, a pretty quick project, you put this together and you were able to get essentially a new version of vCenter Converter in 6 months. Can customers, how confident can they be that this has been sort of thoroughly tested and will work?
So functionally, the vCenter Converter 6.3 is a direct successor of the previous version. However, from technical perspective, we made significant changes. We upgraded the compiler, addressed all identified security vulnerabilities, updated the technical stack generally. Ultimately, the release passed all standard processes and validations applied for VMware products, so extensive testing cycles, security scans, release readiness procedures, etc. we would never release a product version unless it has got the green light from our relevant teams. So in addition, it is important to mention that we restored all customer-facing documentation support for the product.
Are there any special requirements or limitations for this new version of vCenter Converter?
It's still a standalone application running on Windows machine only, and it's still free of charge. In version 6.3, we added support for vCenter 7.0 and ESXi 7.0. The product still works fine with vSphere 6.7, but as it is no longer officially supported, we recommend to all our customers who are still using this version to upgrade to the newer ones,
of course.
7.0
Yeah.
or 8.0.
Of course, yeah.
There are, of course, certain areas where we need to catch up. vCenter Converter 6.3 still doesn't support vSphere 8, and the latest version of the virtual hardware supported by the converter is still 11, which is quite obsolete. Such shortcomings will be addressed in the upcoming releases later this calendar year. From the perspective of third-party workload conversion, Converter 6.3 still supports only Microsoft Hyper-V. At the same time, as Mani mentioned, we have expanded the range of source operating systems, including Windows 11, Windows 2022, Ubuntu 16.04, and also extended the list of supported hypervisors with Workstation 16, Fusion 12, and Hyper-V 11.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have a roadmap about some additional things we want to do to improve the vCenter Converter. I guess lastly, so where can customers get their hands on the vCenter latest, this new release of vCenter Converter?
So I can give a little bit of insight about what we are planning to do next.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
We
Go ahead.
plan to release the next version of the converter very soon. It will happen sometimes in March or April.
Okay.
And it is going to be focused on two main goals. One is to support the conversion of Amazon EC2 workloads to VMware VMs. And the other is to provide the support for vSphere 8, both ESXi and vCenter latest versions. In the longer term, we are also focused on providing support for conversion from KVM format, because it's also quite popular and we have got a lot of customer asks about that. Mm-hmm. As from where the customers can get their hands on version 6.3, it's still in the official VMware channels through Customer Connect site, where they can directly search for vCenter Converter and download version 6.3, which is still a Windows executable.
Okay, so just go to the normal place they would download the bits for vSphere, right? And just search for vCenter Converter. And you're saying
Absolutely.
The latest version, you're saying the latest version is version 6.3. Okay.
6.3, yes.
6.3. All right. Well, all right. This has been great. I'm sure a lot of people, if you haven't heard about this, I'm sure they're dying to know, but it's good, since we released it back in October, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people already know about it, but we definitely wanted to make sure everyone knew about it because it's very popular tool. Well, thank you, Tudor and Mani.
Add to that,
Oh, sure.
that,
Did you want to chime in?
In addition to that, this thing version publicly available in VMware.com. So for the last release, we also did a beta program with an interested set of customers, which turned out to be a huge success. So around some 1,000 customers registered, and then this thing provided their feedback on the converter. And so there were a set of this thing sign-up forms, which we have shared it with the customers, and they shared their details to get the software downloaded for the beta. So we are also planning to do the same thing for the upcoming version of next version of converter, which will provide the support for EC2 conversions, VCE8, and a whole lot of other features. So the people who are already registered, they can get it. And if there are any new customers, they can reach out and then they can register for the beta.
Okay, great. So yeah.
And thanks very much to the customers for being so active in our beta testing.
Yes, and thank you for being patient with us as we built the new version. Well, thank you, Tudor and Mani. With that, we come to the end of this episode of Breakroom Chats. Join us next time for another episode of Breakroom Chats. This is your host, Glenn Simon, signing off for today. Have a fabulous day.